What's up, guys? RCR here. We got Washington State and Drake in the 7-10 matchup in Omaha, Nebraska, right in Missouri Valley Conference Nation. I think Drake could have a nice crowd here for this game, I'm not going to lie. This is Thursday on True TV at 10:05. It's the late game. Washington State, let's talk about them first. They're led by their two guys, Isaac Jones and Miles Rice, both averaging over 15 points per game. Washington State's interesting. Washington State didn't do much in the non-conference. Let's be honest. Their best wins on the year are they beat Arizona, which was a great win. They actually beat Arizona twice. Two great wins, both beat them by 3. They also beat Colorado and beat Utah. So they took care of business in the Pac-12. But they didn't do much in the non-conference. So it's very similar to a lot of these teams that just wiped in conference, like Iowa State or Texas Tech, teams that didn't get big wins non-conference. NC State, are they really as good as we think they are? They haven't played teams outside of their conference. But Kyle Smith is the coach of this team. He still led them to a 24-9 record. That is no slouch at all, and they're deserving to be in this tournament. They're going to play fast-paced. They're going to be led by their guards. Like I said, Isaac Jones is their guard, Miles Rice, who's the freshman, and then Isaac Jones is the forward. Both averaging over 15, like I said. But with there being a fast-paced offense, they also have one of the better defenses in the country. They're a top 30 defense. They only give up 66 points per game. And despite them being fast-paced, they don't necessarily score a lot. They score 74 points a game compared to Drake, who scores 80. But when they do run, they run, and they're an interesting team to watch this March. Let's move on to Drake. Drake, 28-6. It was them and Indiana State neck and neck the entire time in the Missouri Valley Conference. And then clearly, Drake was the team that come out on top. They beat Indiana State twice, lost them once, but they beat them when it mattered the most. They also beat Bradley 3 times, who's an NIT team. That's no slouch. And then throwing a win against Nevada, who's another tournament team from the Mountain West. They've got a pretty good resume for a Missouri Valley Conference team. They obviously made it last year. They lost to Miami in the first round, a team that ended up going to the Final Four. But they're going to be scary this year, I think. They're led, of course, by 2-time Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, Tucker DeVries, averaging 21.8, almost 22 points per game, 7 rebounds and 3.5 assists. They're kind of the opposite of Washington State. They're not necessarily the best defensive team. They don't have a lot of size. Expect a guy like Isaac Jones to have a big game in this one. But they are one of the better teams at limiting second chances. You only get one shot. They are a great rebounding team despite their size. But if they do get the guys like Tucker DeVries or Darnell Brody, their center, in foul trouble, they could struggle. So it's a team that's very hit or miss. I mean, this could be very well a team that makes it to the Sweet 16, upsets Washington State, and then upsets a team like Arizona in the second round. But am I going to take Drake in this game? That's a tough one. I'm just not sure. This is a tough one. This is one I really got to think about. Because when you think about a guy like Miles Rice and you think about a guy like Isaac Jones, those are two guys that can play very well off of each other. Isaac Jones, he's not a traditional big man, but he can go and score the ball. I mean, he averages 15 and 7. But Tucker DeVries is a 2-time Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. He wasn't able to get it done in the tournament last year. They struggled. I mean, he had a bad game last year, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. But I think that Drake is due to win a game in the tournament. They're finally a 10 seed. They're not a 12. They're a 10. They get Washington State, not necessarily a team that has a ton of great wins outside of those Arizona ones. I think Drake gets it done. Give me Drake to, are we calling it an upset? They could be favored in this game. But give me Drake to quote-unquote upset the higher seed Washington State and take down the 7 as a 10. Drake's moving on. What do you think?